the contractor came back because he's thinking, my head's spinning and I'm not sleeping. I'm all upset about part one. I'm all upset. I I feel helpless in those situations that I wasn't expecting, that I feel shouldn't be happening. You know, I don't feel like it should be just this big thing to give me a referral for my spider veins on my thighs. You know, if I have to pay out of pocket, I will. I don't feel like when you have heaviness in your, I'm not saying it's serious, but I feel like it should at least the initial test, because I don't think they're not supposed to do anything. And I'm sorry, but I would trust a vascular surgeon more than a fucking dermatologist. So if they're worried that my insurance won't cover it, I don't give a fuck. My insurance covers it. Money in the bank. I want this. I don't want to be in limbo. Plus, it's upsetting me so much. You know, it's upsetting me. That should matter. The fact that I'm upset. The fact that you have to go through the nurses and you know that the nurses, you have to trust that they're even getting on the doctor's case. They probably aren't. I feel like I'm just being walked all over. Okay? I'm not being unreasonable. Coming Monday, it'll be 2 weeks that I'm waiting for a referral that I was supposed to get 2 weeks ago that I'd already waited 6 weeks to have. I don't feel like I'm wrong at all. And you probably say, no, you're not wrong. But then it goes back to, you don't have to be wrong to just, if you're me, everything about this fucking existence kills me. And out of all the fucking songs in the world, his always plays. And it's just the weirdest fucking shit. And I know it's just a coincidence, or just designed to torment me, one or the other, but Satan. But it's, think about all the songs that are in the world. They could play when you are very briefly, 10 minutes in like a department store, like it was years ago in Caremark, for 10 minutes. Or today, my contractor down in my basement turns on his radio, his boombox that he brings with him, okay? Or I've been because you have to understand, all the songs in the world that could play would have to play at that exact moment I'm there. You know? It's just weird. It's just fucking weird. I'm sorry, it's weird from my perspective, because the chances are so unlikely when you're thinking of all of the songs in the world that could play at that exact moment when I'm for a brief period of time in any given grocery store or department store, or today he turns on his boombox. It's just too weird. I have new subscribers. I have people that don't even know what I'm talking about. You don't need to know. Suffice to say, I'm damn lucky in this life, which is probably why I have so much fucking above and beyond compassion for her, and why it kills me when to know how she's behaving and it's not her fault. I'm damn fucking lucky I'm not in there with her. But I'm also really smart and really aware. I used to go into Boston, or the area, via every form of public transportation you could think of, okay? Um, she retired when the big P hit. I loved her to death. She was awesome. She was like my mom's age. But anyway, she knew shit, knew about my history of being abused and all of that, and my child. She knew stuff, Um, and she's like, you'd be much better off if you weren't so smart, Laura. Yeah. Anyhow, so my contractor come down and see the door. Remember, we need the basement door, right? And he had put in a thing thinking I want to lock myself in the basement like you would lock yourself in your bedroom. I never thought of that. What I'm thinking about is it has a little pinhole on the outside and one of those little stupid key things that aren't real keys like I have in my hand now. Because I was not accepting that, and thank God it didn't work correctly, but even if it had worked correctly, I would have been upset. And would I have bitten my tongue? Yeah. He didn't ask me what kind of doorknob I wanted. He probably got the cheaper kind. Anyway, he got the cheapest kind probably, and it didn't come with keys. It came with one of those stick things, and he couldn't get it to open. So he had no choice but to go get another doorknob. And I said, go get another doorknob, and because I didn't know it didn't come with the door he bought. I don't know. I thought doorknobs come with the door, but regardless, he couldn't get it to work. So then I told the whole story. I'm like, I don't trust those little things. They'll end up being lost, but I'd rather have no lock. I don't need a lock on my basement door. You can't, like, he's thinking if you want it as a safe room, that's not a safe enough room. There's not even any way. I'm not going to run down to my basement and lock it. And then I told him a story because I'm just acquiescing like that. Really, I didn't need any lock, and truthfully, I would have wanted it like Joe's, where it just locks from the inside. But of course, you don't really need to lock it from the inside because if somebody's going to break into Joe's industrial strength door to get into his basement, or in my case, smash windows or whatever, you'd hear the windows smashing, and you'd have plenty of time to get out of your house. It's those kind of windows, okay? Would I have still locked my basement door at night? Yeah. But this guy has me thinking, and then he's like, well, what if there's a tornado? If there was a tornado, that's what he said to me. He's thinking of the movies or something, or safe rooms. He said, well, what about a safe room? If there was a tornado, locking the door is not going to do anything, I would think. I guess it would, because then it can't, like, blow open. Then he's like, you never know. He's like, I don't know. And then I'm thinking, I just want to lock it at night. But in the end, we're not doing that. I'm going to go by what he's saying. Have it be like if you want to lock your bedroom door. I mean, I think it's ridiculous, but all I care about is I wasn't stuck with one of those long stick things. Because if it had worked correctly, but I was upset because he wasn't able to get it to work. And I'm like, you know what? Even if you finagle it, it doesn't mean it's going to work in the future. For a doorknob, we don't want me to have to break down this door to get into my basement. You know? So whatever he'd purchased was defective. I don't give a fuck. I'd rather have no. And then I remembered, then I go checking the bedroom doors. And like the bedroom doors don't even have locks. They don't even lock. And then I was telling him, since I had to tell him, I didn't have to tell him, but I did tell him. Because she's not here and it's what I do. I don't say everything that happens. I said that to my neighbor, but that's a different story. I'm friends with the neighbor now, and the friend is around my mom's age. You know what I mean? That's a different story. I need comfort in case something horrible happened. And she's always asking me, how is your mom doing? She knows about her brain bleed and fall and this and that, and now it's very dangerous for her. She thinks God has healed her and she can walk, and she falls from a standing position, which is way worse than falling from a lower bed, you know? And she fell from that bed. I don't know what happened because I didn't witness it. But what I do know is it wasn't the back, it was the front of her head that was hit. So it's almost like she didn't actually fall directly with her head, but that would be a different story if you fall standing from a standing position. Like could have happened a couple weeks ago when she decided to stand up from her wheelchair and doesn't know why she did it. She just said, I forgot where I was, and walked 10 feet from it holding on to nothing. She wasn't walking wonderfully somehow. God didn't fucking heal her. And the next moment, her very next steps, and she had a long way still to get to the bathroom where she was headed. Unbeknownst to me, thankfully, I heard a fucking noise and ran out. And I wasn't like watching a video or something on my computer thinking my mom's safe with her locked wheelchair in front of the TV. God didn't fucking heal her, people. If she wants to, out in the open, with professionals and whatnot, discuss that she can't stand using a walker for the rest and wants to use a cane, and she's willing to accept the consequences where she could fall and die, then it has to be not just with me. It has to be something that's out in the open and it's free moral agent and her free will, and and I get a permission, approval, or not. No one's going to approve it. They think she should just use a walker for the rest of her life. And I agree, but But Joe bluntly pointed out to me before we even came here, when we were still in the hotel, or back when I was still in Massachusetts, if your mom doesn't, her legs are going to continue. Yeah, it was when we were in Massachusetts still. Her legs are going to continue to atrophy. Not as bad as just being in a wheelchair, but still bad with a walker. You got to use a cane, and you got to start slow and whatever. But my mom has no patience either. See, she wants everything just like this, which is why she's all upset about just everything and not taking things slow and understanding. It's not going to be like this forever. You're still under VNA care. You were gone for 6+ weeks. You could have died. You were in short-term rehab for 4+ weeks. You were in the hospital for 2 weeks, okay? I had to find a caregiver. That took time, all right? And I'm thinking about, I'm still planning on you having like adult daycare once a week now, because I can afford it, because because there's a little bit of money in the bank now, unlike when we were paupers in Massachusetts. Practical. Close enough. I know Joe's going to say, let's say, you don't need to lock yourself in the basement. What's that contractor thinking? I don't know. I don't know. All I know is he'll do the chimney, and he's charging $500 less than your guy who would have charged the same. Hence the reason this one sarcastically told me when he had first met me, he's like, yeah, when we were talking about the chimney, he's like, yeah, he probably just tacked on extra so that you'd pay cash and he could get the normal amount anyway that I'm charging, right? At that time, I didn't know what this guy was going to charge. But it wound up being, and he didn't know either, and he didn't know what that guy charged. It turned out he's probably right. It probably was that, because I wasn't going to pay cash, and I'm pissed off. And it's still $500 is nothing to sneeze at, and I don't have to pay cash. Okay? Then he's giving me choices that I have to run by Joe. You can either have this done, and this will be the same price. You can have this done, which will take me longer, but have cheaper materials, or you can have more expensive materials, but it'll take me a short amount of time. It all evens out. I'm like, I gotta run it by Joe. I don't know. I don't know. I can't make these decisions. You know what I mean? But you see where I'm coming from? Like, I really had just planned on locking my basement from the inside, right? But then I guess you could get locked in your basement then if you closed it and didn't realize it was locked. So this guy, I guess, was thinking ahead of me. Because if anything locks from one side, it means it needs a key from the other, right? I'll have to ask Joe about that. I never even thought about that. It can't lock from one side and not be locked from the other side, right? I don't know. All I know is this is what it is. It looks nice enough. He wanted me to pay $125 for trim. I'm like, this is just a basement door that's not stained. That's not like even like an interior door that's all painted. I don't want to pay $125 for trim. Can you just fill in whatever gaps? Because it wasn't. The doorway wasn't perfect. You know. Just there's no way to know how it would frame until you put it in there to have the correct piece of wood. So then there's holes. I don't want that. Can't we just use caulking? That won't look good. I don't give a fuck. But it's my name on it. I don't, you know what? I don't care. I don't want trim. I don't care about trim. Just wing it. It's just going to the basement. It's not a basement. It's all finished. It doesn't need aesthetics. It doesn't need to look aesthetically pleasing. It looks fine. That's what Joe thought. I think Joe thought that they would put in caulking or something. And he was going to put trim. I don't need trim. And I'm like, I thought it comes with trim. He's like, no, that's just the door. The trim would be extra. But you didn't talk to me about trim ahead of time. He wasn't even thinking of trim, obviously. But then he's seeing gaps because his piece of wood didn't fit correctly. Yeah, I don't feel like paying an extra anything, okay? I don't feel like it. It doesn't have to look pretty. It looks fine with the caulking. Fine with it. And then I got that damn ellipse from my mom, but for me too. It says it's good for swelling, for restless leg, for leg cramps. And it does burn a little bit of calories. Joe's so busy with his part-time job now because they're giving him way more hours than he had ever planned on having. You know, and he needs the job. And he needs the money too, but he still didn't want all these hours. So when he first got there, they're like, oh, don't worry, I'm only going to be working 20 hours a week. I'll still have time to help you. No, that's true. It's almost sometimes like he has a full-time job, even if it's not quite 8 hours, if it's 5 days and then you have 2 days off. But if you work late your last day, then you're dead to the world the one day, and you have one day, you know what I mean? He has no time to help me at all. But I'm like, you know what? I don't need groceries, Joe. I don't want groceries. Would have liked chocolate bar. He was going to the grocery store and has to do other things, but then he has to work. I know he wasn't in my perfect, you know, I was joking. He's like, I don't even believe in Halloween. It's a satanic holiday, yeah. I tend to concur, Joe. I don't really give a fuck about Halloween, but I wanted chocolate, organic chocolate, you know. But I knew he wasn't going to bring it to me, and he could bring my white fox too. He's like, you don't need that. You have plenty of other stuffed animals. I like that one though. I left it at your house by accident. But the fact is, he still has to come change the water, okay? And he still has to get us groceries and get my mom's meds. We don't have to do meds, and I'm foregoing groceries, but you need to come and put the ellipse together. I need to know. My mom could be, you know, feasibly discharged at any time. Just because they can keep her a certain amount of time, they can keep her forever. I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean. they also can discharge her at any given moment. That's how it always works. I'm not seeing that happen anytime soon based on the behavior I'm witnessing that has me leaving there in fucking tears. Inner tears. But nevertheless, they could drug her up really bad and she could be good enough that they decide to discharge her. I don't have any control over that. I'm not even the invoked proxy. It's out of my hands. Anything they share with me is out of respect for me, that's all. Showing me the respect I deserve that I didn't even get from that cunt back in Massachusetts when I was the invoked healthcare proxy. And then I'm condemned for having the nerve to be upset. Probably like I'm being condemned now for having the nerve to be upset that I'm supposed to just sit here and patiently wait like a good little girl until you get around to figuring out in between all your other patients in your own life and whatever. For all I know, I'm not even on your mind at all, and the nurse is just going to spout off, oh, she's working on it. I have no proof she's working on shit. I should have had my referral that day. Period. After I waited all those weeks after weeks after weeks to see her about this, it's important to me. All I get is walked all over in this life. I have no rights. I did get to talk to Joe for 4 hours, 2 hours, and then 2 hours again. Talking a lot about the whole thing going on with the world and all this shit, AI and all these people losing their jobs, and Joe believes it's all going to backfire. All you can do is wait and see, because these companies are going to have to either